It's for Messanso Emma Aquaba Ediba Ghanatube na Ghanatube is more a tribute or mine NID every and she said that me no call Parliament House near Wakoshe proceedings are air cost to air war Parliament House no any near air cost or ye Ghana Marshal with the few now also watch the waging among our comment section room. Mother Jibre Akin Kanye Nara Eddie amount. Say, oh, yeah, on my Mbappe, the Emino ya said, they say, they should be the on my airco any near Adrian, young penny fire to about anyone, and Mutum on war Emma or my Ghana. It's in Mr. said, Betty Betty, near Baba is seminar now, you are, you know, your Baba church, yakin or comment section.
And yet they need those municipal bonds just to fix toilets and fix schools and fix water systems in the community. You have mines that will go and buy ADTs, the most sophisticated, the biggest mining equipment, and yet just a few dozers and bulldozers to fix the roads in the region, in the district, they are not there. So all these resources are in the mines. How will we immediately outside the walls of the mines as a government build on these resources for the development of the towns and the communities immediately surrounding the mines? If we did that, things will not escalate to the point where it will be a question of shooting and killing. And so I will agree with our colleagues that the ministers will come and brief us, but because they are sensitive matters, the briefings, I believe, will be at the committee of the whole meeting, and we should commit to keep the information within us and not to use it, in our politics and etc. in the communities in a way that will undermine the effort to ensure law and order, because none of you will know where you will be anywhere in the country. You can think that it is Bibiani. On the day that there will be an outbreak of violence, you may have gone to Bibiani to attend a schoolmate's funeral and you get caught up in the violence. So security anywhere in the world is security, that is meant for all of us. And so we must all collectively support the ministers to do their work and ensure that there's law and order. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I think our comment has been measured, and as the recommendation has come across, we will add this to the Minister for Interior. I think we are not certain as to when he is actually coming to the House. So please, leader of the House, please, at least ferry this one as well to him, so that if he can come to the House by Friday, if it is possible, to come and brief us. The Walwale issue, then we can add up this one to him. So I come and brief the House. And like we said, when he comes, we will have a close sitting discussion with him. So please, I so direct that leader, you will relate with the Minister for Interior. In fact, someone was also discussing the issue with mining, therefore we should add up the Minister for Lands. But for that one, I will urge that we file a question to the Minister to come and answer relating to that. This one is a security matters, and we want to build the Minister for Interior specifically to come and handle that. So I so direct. We take now is the turn for Honorable Davis Opoku.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to bring to the attention of this House to the unlawful ministerial interference in the enforcement actions of the National Communications Authority. Mr. Speaker, I rise today with deep concern regarding the recent directive issued by the Minister for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovations in a media advisory dated 18 February 2025. This directive unlawfully instructs the National Communications Authority to take enforcement action against certain broadcasting stations allegedly operating without valid authorization. Such actions represent an unacceptable overreach of executive authority, undermining institutional independence, press freedom, and the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, the minister does not possess the legal authority to direct the NCA's regulatory or enforcement actions. The Speaker, Section 3(1) of the National Communications Act states that except as otherwise provided in this Act, the authority shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority in performing its functions. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, the Electronic Communications Act 2008, Act 775, reinforces this independence. Mr. Speaker, I specifically refer this House to Section 2(4), which says that broadcasting services require frequency authorization by the NCA. Section 9 talks about spectrum usage requires NCA authorization. And Section 58(1) says that the NCA controls, plans, administers, and licenses the radio frequency spectrum. The minister's directive to close certain broadcasting stations directly contravenes these provisions. Your Speaker, if allowed to remain in effect, it could set a dangerous precedent for political interference in independent institutions, potentially extending beyond the NCA. Your Speaker, the minister's role is confined to policy direction, not enforcement. Section 97(1) of the Act 775 states, the minister may, on the advice of the authority by legislative instrument, make regulations generally to give effect to the provisions of this Act. Section 41 of the same Act limits the minister's powers to policy directives, not operational decisions. The directive issued in the media advisory oversteps legal boundaries and constitutes executive overreach. Mr. Speaker, due process was ignored. Even if the affected stations encounter licensing issues, the law specifies a procedure for addressing such matters. Mr. Speaker, Section 9 of Act 775 requires formal notification of the alleged breach. It also requires a reasonable time frame which must be provided for rectification. And the same Act says that the station must be allowed to appeal before enforcement action is taken. Section 13 of Act 775 further stipulates that the frequency authorization may be revoked following due process. There is no evidence that these legal procedures were observed prior to the minister's directive. If enforcement actions proceed without adherence to due process, this directive will constitute an abuse of executive power and direct threat to fair regulatory practices. Mr. Speaker, press freedom is also under threat. The directive is not merely a regulatory overreach. It constitutes an assault on press freedom. Article 21(1)(a) of the 1992 Constitution assures freedom of expression, including media freedom. Government's direct shutdowns without due process convey a chilling message to journalists and media organizations that their operations are subject to political approval. A free press is vital for democratic accountability, and this unconstitutional interference must not be tolerated. Mr. Speaker, this House must act swiftly to prevent any further abuse of power. I have submitted a half-hour motion summoning the minister to appear before Parliament to explain this unlawful directive. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, I urge Parliament to summon the Minister of Communications and to clarify this unlawful directive to the NCA. 2, instruct the NCA to suspend all enforcement actions related to the minister's directive until due process is confirmed. 3, charge the committees of communications and constitutional and legal affairs with investigating whether the minister acted unilaterally or under political influence. Right Honorable Speaker, this represents a test of our commitment to democracy. This issue transcends political parties and centers of safeguarding of our democracy. We must act decisively to uphold the rule of law and prevent any further executive outreach. Ghana's democracy is at stake. Thank you very much for the opportunity to bring this matter to your attention. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable members, we are going to also have 2 comments from each side. But before then, please indulge me in 5 minutes suspension. Yes, honorable member for Tema Central.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I must commend the maker of the statement. Mr. Speaker, it is imperative to demystify the mantra of push and pull, abolition, once there's a change in government. Mr. Speaker, it is a continual process, governance. Mr. Speaker, we must also be made aware that communication technology is the key in developing every nation. The synergical effect of what technology brings in must not be downplayed. We just heard Apple injecting over $500 billion into the economy of the US of A, and by that reducing unemployment by 20,000. Yet, our communication minister has found it necessary to rather close up radio stations instead of coming out with the framework as to how communication is going to help the nation Ghana. I humbly submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes. Nobody from majority side? Yes. Honorable Tampuni.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to contribute to the statement ably delivered by my very good friend Davis Opoku, Member of Parliament for the people of Mprayaso, on the unlawful ministerial interference in the enforcement actions of the Minister for Communications on the National Communications Authority. Mr. Speaker, the maker of the statement makes reference to the acts that established the National Communications Authority. And like many acts, Mr. Speaker, there is place for ministerial authority and supervision. Now, what those acts do, including this particular act of the NCA, is to give powers to the minister to make policy directives and interventions to enhance the work of the NCA. Mr. Speaker, no room is created for the minister to interfere in operational matters as far as the NCA Act is concerned. What we are seeing today, Mr. Speaker, is an overzealous minister who has moved beyond the policy direction by the minister and the ministry and is now dabbling in palpable frivolities. Mr. Speaker, the minister has decided to move beyond the policy directions to now direct that directors of the NCA proceed on leave. Mr. Speaker, he is also requesting for CVs of directors and staff of the NCA. Now, if ministers go beyond the policy directives and now go all the way to the staff, Mr. Speaker, then the NCA has to pack bag and baggage and go and sit at the Ministry of Communications, so that the minister will run the ministry and run the NCA, run GIFEC, run NITA, run all the agencies. Now, this is not properly situated within the meaning of what we call constitutionalism. Government according to predetermined rules. The rules are there. The minister has set his own rules and is running amok. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Communication must be called to order. Immediately so. Now, this is a minister, when he was on this side of the aisle, and some radio stations were directed to be closed down by the NCA and not the minister. Mr. Speaker, the minister who was then deputy ranking for communications, and I was a member of the communications committee, you summoned the minister. And we requested the minister to direct NCA. All manner of things took place in this house, in this hallowed chamber at the committee level, and then the press conferences that he was holding. How can that same person transmogrify himself from a defender now to the adversary? Mr. Speaker, did we reset to do things worse than they happened before? What was the essence of reset? We said we should reset in order to do things right. Now, where does the minister derive his power to ask the radio stations to be closed down when the powers that he has under the NCA Act do not come anywhere close to what he's doing? So, Mr. Speaker, what the minister is doing is to probably later on request that every promotion that will take place at NCA must be brought to the minister for him to authorize before. Even staff salaries would have to be sent to the minister for him to pay. Mr. Speaker, it looks like we have an Idi Amin in the making. We have an Idi Amin in the making. This house will not watch for an Idi Amin to emerge at the Ministry of Communication. And we are sending the signal to the Minister for Communications to relax. To relax. The exuberance is getting too much.
Hold on. Yes, leader. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I like Idi Amin. He's a nice guy. But where Idi Amin is painted as a dictator, and then a minister of state is likened to Idi Amin, it becomes an inappropriate referral of the minister. So I beg you can make your point without alleging that an Idi Amin is emerging at the Ministry of Communication. I'm just happy that he is admitting that this is not the first time a radio station is being shut down, and that even when the NPP was in office, radio stations were being shut down. But please don't refer to the minister as Idi Amin.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Member.
the leader of the house is the one who is putting words in my mouth. I never mentioned a dictator. I said Idi Amin probably because of their body size. I'm making reference to, so there could be similarities in the two of them. I haven't said he's a dictator. So, Mr. Speaker,
Hold on again. Yeah, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that he ought to apologize to our colleague who is not here. To body shame him is completely unacceptable. How would you take it if you say you are as short as Nanado? How would you feel? No, how would you? You see, someone is rising up. Mr. Speaker, someone is rising up. And that is the reason why you shouldn't body shame him. And I think that you should do the needful. The list that what, who is not here? I will. Hold on. If you feel offended because I describe you to be as short as Nanado, I sincerely apologize and withdraw. So will you do the needful?
Honorable Mutala, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hold on. You get up.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, take off that reference.
I withdrawn. He asked me whether I would do the needful, and I said that if he feels offended, I withdraw entirely. So I expect him to do the same.
Okay.
I expect him to do the same.
Very well. Honorable Tampuli, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Do away with that. The body sizing, I don't think.
Oh, Mr. Speaker.
It will be offensive. It will be offensive. So you.
Mr. Speaker, very often you find some matters are presented to the public in what you would describe as sheep in wolf skin. All right, Mr. Speaker, in this particular case, the actions of the minister comes in as a wolf as it is. Honorable, it's an act that is an act. Honorable members, to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Honorable members, it is an action. Honorable, what is that? Contaminates. Mr. Speaker, what the minister did. Honorable Tampuli, what the minister did. Honorable Tampuli, are you listening to me? Please, withdraw that. Mr. Speaker, I concede. Honorable members, why? Mr. Speaker, I offer my concession. Well. I offer my concession. Mr. Speaker.
Why? I have asked him to withdraw that statement. Please withdraw that statement. We withdraw it effectively.
Mr. Speaker, we didn't hear the word withdraw. He's used some strange word called concession. We don't know anything about concession. Honorable, so you withdraw.
Well. Honorable, please withdraw. Let's have.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Majority Leader, sometime in 2007.
I am asking you to withdraw, please.
Mr. Speaker, I will do the needful. Mr. Speaker, I will do the needful. I just want to lay a foundation. Allow. Mr. Speaker, sometime in 2007, the Honorable Majority Leader was brought to the law school by his good friend, Professor Ghanatube, to teach me. Incidentally, he taught me lawmaking process that day. So even if I won't withdraw, but for the fact that he has intervened, Mr. Speaker, I will withdraw because of him. I will withdraw, not because of you. Mr. Speaker, the action of the Minister for Communications. Mr. Speaker, the action of the Minister for Communications, if allowed to stand, is going to set a very bad precedent. And one day when the tables turn, which it will turn in 2028, Mr. Speaker, they are likely to face the wrath of another minister from our side who is likely to do the same thing. So this act, Mr. Speaker, it violates and contaminates the Constitution. It contaminates the NCA Act and other extant laws of the Republic of Ghana. And Mr. Speaker, I endorse the recommendations that have been made by the Member of Parliament from Christ. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well. Yes, Honorable Professor Yinsu. Leader, what is it? Okay.
Speaker, I think this is not fair. The Honorable Member for Kwesimintim, he gets up and shouts. Speaker, our side, tries to comport ourselves. Speaker, I think some caution, and the majority leader should also talk to his people. When our side, somebody from our side gets up to speak, and they get up and shout, it's not right. Speaker, that was the reason why I got up to catch your attention. The majority leader should speak to their side. When somebody from our side is speaking, he can't get up and shout. A typical example is our colleague, my respected colleague from Kwesimintim. He has done it on 2 occasions today. That is not parliamentary. And I respect him. He shouldn't do that. Speaker, take a particular attention to that. He was asked to withdraw. He has withdrawn. He shouldn't just get up and shout. It's not right.
Thank you very much. Professor Yinsu, please take the floor. Minister, sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to make this statement. Mr. Speaker, the issue in discussion is about body shaming, and I think that the Honourable must withdraw and apologize to the Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, as women, we go through body shaming a lot. And it is a big gender issue that needs to be addressed. If the Honourable Minister had an issue with the Honorable Communications Minister, I truly believe that he could have addressed it without talking about his body habitus. It is people have mental health issues precisely from body shaming, and I truly believe that he needs to apologize and withdraw. Thank you.
That issue, okay, if you have concluded, that's fine. So, no, let me give it to
Mr. Speaker.
yes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.